So as you probably already know, I'm an indie developer building from Lagos, Nigeria, and I want to show you the exact setup that I use to run multiple production apps from $10 a month. But before I get into that, let me give you a little bit of context because I think it's important. You see, in Nigeria, the minimum wage set by the government is around $51. And that's not for daily work or hourly wages like in the USA. This is for a full month of work, $51. And here I am competing with people who are in the US, places like the US, where the minimum wage is around $1,250. So this brings it into perspective, right? You see that I have to be very intentional about how every dollar goes, and this architecture helps me stay in the game. Yeah, I forgot. I have to go and pick my daughter from school. We're going to continue this on the way. Yeah, so the way I structured my app is in a way that I'll get the maximum flexibility possible. So I have my authentication system, and then I have all the other backend services. Right now, which is just one. That architecture is so beautiful because now, if I have to build a new app, I don't have to build authentication for the app again. All I have to do is integrate that app into the current authentication app I have, and automatically my new app will be authenticated. I would never build authentication again. I mean, I might improve it, but I'm never building authentication again because that one is going to serve me continuously. I picked my daughter up from school and she's reacting because she was playing. She wanted to swing more, and I took her off the swing. Yeah, so this is the attitude I'm getting for that. Yeah, so I'm back. Actually, I didn't just come back, it's really late right now. So all of my backend is hosted on an AWS EC2 instance, a T2 micro EC2 instance. It's quite small, yes, but it allows me to save costs for now. And what I'm doing is I'm making sure that I take maximum advantage of it. So there are two reasons why I'm using AWS. First of all, AWS is being used across the industry by startups and large companies as well. So using AWS gives me an advantage of skill acquisition because I'm practicing deployments and all of the skills required to manage an application in production. The second reason is that a lot of the alternative companies that we would have used, for not just me, a lot of us across Africa are unable to use them because we've blatantly been blocked out, right? It's not that you get in and you can't use some features. We are blocked out from the gate, so you can't even pay for some of the services. For instance, I think Hetzner recently limited Africa's Kenya, Nigeria. I've not been able to access it in Nigeria. Basically, I was unable to use the service. Now, these two instances for the two apps I have right now, that is my authentication service and my other app, which is called Push Reports. Both of them are hosted on the same EC2 instance. Yeah, I know. It's not the ideal architecture or the ideal way to build when you are talking about scale or when you are trying to do things properly. But I'm not trying to do things properly. I'm trying to save costs. I just want this app to be able to be live for people to see, and then spend more money bringing people to actually come and see the app rather than spend so much money maintaining the app and nobody uses it. You get my logic? Then another crazy part that will drive you mad is that I have my Postgres database also on the same EC2 instance, right? I'm running my Postgres database on that same EC2 instance. Initially, I would use Docker to Dockerize my apps, but I realized that Docker kind of makes it consume more space. The space available on the instance is reduced because Docker consumes a bit more of that, especially with the caching and all of that. So I decided to run my backend services directly using PM2, right? Because there are no JS services. So I'm running them directly using PM2. And that saves me a lot of cost because, I'll show you on the screen. Now I can run two services. I might even run more than two on that same instance. I have my Postgres DB on that same instance as well. So one other thing I did is to make sure that I have CloudFront in front of my API services. And this is because 2 years ago, I deployed an app and I had just, Nginx, and the app was Dockerized. So yeah, my Dockerized app and then Nginx routing requests to the backend, right? And I realized that some people, maybe hackers, maybe just robots, were trying to index and trying to hit my service and trying to extract, they're trying to hit and extract data from the .env, right? So they're trying to get my credentials from the .env, and it didn't work, probably because it was Docker hidden inside my Docker container, right? But I realized that I need security, and I took this to LinkedIn. Somebody told me that one solution I could do was to put my backend in a private subnet, and then only internal applications or applications I allow will be able to call it. And that is what I'm practicing currently on my backend. I have CloudFront, and CloudFront routes the requests directly to my EC2 instance where my applications are running, right? So no external service can, or bots or scrapers or whoever can reach my EC2 instance directly. You can only come through CloudFront, and if you're not authorized through CloudFront, then there's no show for you. Yeah, so that is the architecture I'm maintaining right now. I think the CloudFront bit is going to cost me a little bit more than, because my initial goal was about $5 a month. Yeah, I'm cheap. So, but I think the CloudFront would probably take it to about $10 a month, but that gives me an extra layer of protection, right? But for my front end, all I have is Vercel, and I use a monorepo. For my backend and front end, I use a monorepo. So because I'm using a monorepo, I have to just, when I deploy, I have to go to Vercel and select which project, give Vercel the route to the particular project that I want, and that's all. Basically, everything gets deployed. So my front end is completely free right now until I probably make some money or have a flood of users, and then Vercel gives me one of the bills I've seen people get slapped with from sudden users coming to their app. Yeah, so that is what I'm doing as an indie founder right now. I know, like I've said initially, I know this is not a perfect architecture. I know this may not be the right architecture that people think. But what is important for me right now is surviving and living one more day, right? This is the architecture for now. Right, this is the architecture for now. I mean, I'm not even using anything. I'm not using Redis. I'm not using any caching system or any extracting, no queues, nothing, just my database. And this is how it's going to be until I get paying users. And then when I get paying users, the paying users and the amount of traffic I get will drive the decision that I'll make down the line. I'm going to stick with this until the demand drives the direction of the technology. So yeah, if you're an indie founder and you're building from a place where the odds seem stacked against you, drop a message in the comment section, especially if you're building from Africa or somewhere else where the odds seem stacked against you. Drop a comment in the comment section and let's talk.